to end the spread of the virus. Chairman of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Kwame Kuma, spoke on PM Express Wednesday evening.
We are going to meet on Friday, meet the minister and discuss and finalize it. So, until first a meeting on Friday before we will come out for everybody to know what we are doing. As we met with the president and we have discussed a lot of things. So we are meeting the ministry on Friday, all the stakeholders. So after the Friday meeting, we will come out with a communique for everybody to hear what is.
How did the meeting with the president go?
About the coronavirus, how you try and manage and make sure that the sickness won't be a distance. So, President asked everybody to bring a view for everybody to should bring his view for us to discuss about it. So, all the operators, everybody come on board. So we discuss it and we will conclude it on Friday. We are going to meet the ministry, and from there we will come out with a communique for everybody to know what we discussed about.
Give me
about the sitting the sitting arrangement and everything. We will discuss it and come out on Friday. So the coronavirus is a serious issue. Everybody is thinking about it, and we have put measures. If you go to the station, make sure that you meet. Everybody should have a bucket with a tap and the soap and the tissue for the passengers to clean their hand before joining the car, and then sanitizer also for them to clean their hands. And we pleaded with the car owners also to try and buy some of the sanitizer for the drivers to put their car inside if somebody is joining the roadside, so they can give it to him to clean his hands.
Well, a transport consultant, Dr. Godfred Achiadakwa, is urging government to lock down. He says if the social distancing has been prescribed by the expert is anything to go by, then government must reduce fuel prices drastically to aid transport operators cope.
Our health experts are asking us to leave 1 meter distance, I mean spacing. Now, when you talk about 1 meter, 1 meter is just from the tip here to my shoulder here.
Yeah.
Look at it. So when you look at the width of the bus, it means only 2 people can sit on the 5-seat round, and then the 13 seats for that the 9 meter, they have 13 seat arrangements. Now, for us to maintain 1 meter distance, that means that we have to have 9 seats instead of 13. So for 13 times 2 people into a seat, that means that a bus that can take about 65 is now going to take about 9 times 2, 18.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean,
for us to qualify for the expected social distancing that we are all talking about.
But this is interesting. So this is a typical U-turn bus.
Yes, typical
so
U-turn
you
bus.
say, just repeat the numbers again. Bus that would normally take
65
will take now 18.
It should be
just so we can comply with the directive.
1 meter distance.
Okay.
Now, if you reduce it to meet the social distancing that we're talking about to prevent this pandemic, that means that they have to be at loss, and they cannot be at loss. That's where government has to come in. So how can government do? You can say that I'm reducing fuel price by 50% for commercial vehicles so that they can commute if there's not going to be lockdown. Okay, so if they're going to reduce the fuel prices, that means that they can make do, because the fuel is the main component that is into their profits. The best option to solve this problem, if we want to talk about the spread and transportation, it is not only even by the long chassis buses, but let's talk about the taxis too.
Goodness me, we haven't even talked about that.
The taxis are there, and look at the taxis. These multis, the smaller ones, the driver picks about 4 people, or 3 people, the bus is choked. And that particular bus, a small taxi, can pick only 1 more. So for me, the best way is that if there's going to be a permanent lockdown for 2 weeks, no movement at all, just give about 2 days, 3 days notice where people should do their shopping. We have to close down the country completely for 2 weeks.
So people won't use transport at all?
No transport at all.
But that would mean the transport operators will take a hit anyway, because they won't have any passengers.
It's going to affect everybody. Nobody is at all, except those who are doing the essential services. And then again, people have their own vehicles, that one-on-one vehicle, like you can drive to work and those that you can leave you to drive. But to allow the taxis to work, the trotros to work, and the long distance buses to work, it is going to amount to huge spreading of the risk.
Meanwhile, a virologist, Dr. John Amoesi, says the proposed 2-week lockdown may not achieve the expected outcome. He also spoke on PM Express.
The objective of lockdown is to, one, prevent spread and to easily identify those who have disease. Now, if you should lock down and do nothing, what will happen is those who have the disease will run its course and they will recover. What you want to do to make the lockdown as effective as possible is to combine this with massive community-wide testing. And the question is, do we have the kits available now? Even if we do we have the capacity to deploy people to do this testing? What algorithm will we use? Because, of course, we can't test 100% of the population. We will have to apply a sampling approach to this. And as scientists, we know the ways in which we go about doing this. And the country has experience doing this in various ways, from our immunization programs to our polio coverage programs to even our census, national census that we conduct. So people have been calling for a 2-week shutdown. For me, it is very clear as a scientist that 2 weeks will hardly have any effect. And in infectious disease, one thing that's really dangerous is to suppress a disease and not to do it enough to the point where you break the disease and to lift your hand, because what you will have will be what we call the spring back effect, or the recoil, the coil effect, where it gets even worse than what it was before, and you were actually better off having done nothing.
While still on transport, operators of intercity transport company VIP Jean are witnessing one of their leanest seasons as passenger volumes drop due to the coronavirus pandemic. From an average of 50 trips a day on the Accra-Kumasi route, 3 trips are now hardly accomplished. Managers say patronage has reduced as public concern grows about health risk from traveling. It comes as managers disinfect buses before every journey as part of measures to prevent spread of the disease. My colleague Ohiming Terry visited the VIP bus terminal in Kumasi and has come through with the following report.
Now has been a busy place for travelers and hawkers who conduct brisk business here. But the advent of COVID-19 pandemic has reduced traffic here. Low traffic means coaches take longer hours to be loaded to full capacity. Tens of coaches have been rendered idle at the Dade Swaba parking yard of the company. Professor Lukumont Owusu-Ansah is Director of Finance and Strategy at the VIP Juan Transport Services.
Yesterday, Accra, we load only 3 buses. On average, a day we load about 50 buses. But it seems the turnout is low because everybody is skeptical and everybody is trying to see the way forward before they have. So it has affected the business significantly.
Amid the current situation, the company has introduced measures to protect the traveling public against COVID-19. Significant among them is the ban on eating on the bus.
There are people who want to eat fried eggs, indomie on board the bus. I appeal to them to stop. We have educated drivers and their mates to stop people from the habit. Passengers can take advantage of our 15-minute stop over at rest stops to have a snack.
Hand washing and sanitizing complement disinfection of buses before they set off on a journey.
We have sprayed our buses. We are doing it throughout till the government gives an order for it to stop. As long as it exists, we are following the directives throughout. And we have put in place water and sanitizers at the vantage points. Before any passenger or gets into the ticket room to buy the ticket, you wash your hands with the soap, with tissues and everything before you enter the buses. And we have ordered some of the test kits. By next week it will get here. so that before we can do this voluntary or before you can step into the bus, we will test you before we can allow you. And we are making the mask available so that our workers and those drivers will do. And we have assured our drivers that when they get to the rest stops, every mate should make sure that you sanitize your hands when you get down before you get in to our sanitizers on the various rest points and anywhere we stop.
What about the issue of social distancing? I know the bus, in some instances, some have to stay closer to each other.
Yeah, we are making the necessary arrangement if we can reduce the number also, but we are in consultation with the medical experts to see how best we can.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oimin Tibia reporting.
Now, the District Chief Executive for Jasekai, Lawrence Aziale, has intensified the fight against the spread of COVID-19 within his district. According to him, public and communal education is key to the containment and prevention of further spread of the virus. The DCE on Tuesday visited the Kut Market, a border market community to the Republic of Togo, to educate and distribute hand-washing items to drivers and market women. Here's correspondent Peter Senu's report.
Kuta Market in the Jasekan district is the destination. The interaction started from this tailoring shop that has nothing to show for the safety of its occupants.
So you get the small one, so please. Maybe I'll bring you hand sanitizer and some other things later on.
The DC then interacted with the drivers and traders on the need to be on their guard against the spread of the coronavirus into the district and the region, seeing the loose border relations that exists between Ghana and Togo on the eastern ends of the Oti region. The crowd was taken through how to properly wash their hands in order to stay safe from being infected. In all, 3 sets of hand-washing items were given to the community. The DC, Lawrence Aziale, says he cannot afford to see any resident in his district getting infected with the virus.
What is happening in Ghana, for me, is more than a threat to our life. I can't sit down in my office until coronavirus is totally gone out of Ghana, because this virus, from what I've seen in the pictures, from what I've seen in the social media, is too devastating for anybody, be government official or citizens of Ghana, to joke with. We ensure that our district do not record any case of coronavirus, and the country should quickly get out of this situation.
Regarding whether or not there should be a lockdown, seeing the daily rise in the number of infected persons, this is what the DC has to say.
I would not say that we should go for a knockdown immediately. And I believe that we all will be given the appropriate information when the right time comes. If they've informed him that it's time for us to lock down Ghana, I don't think His Excellency will hesitate to do that.
How about the several unapproved routes from the Republic of Togo into his jurisdiction?
Our area over here has a peculiar problem. We have so many smaller unapproved routes, and they are bush paths. In my area, my district alone, those that we have recorded is about 180. It's practically not possible to man
180 unapproved routes?
Yes.
Wow.
It's not practically possible that we can man all those routes. But what we are doing is that we are educating the people. The few routes that we have the men, for now we have the medical staff over there, the immigration officials are there. So all of them are working to ensure that, in fact, that's the main route that people use a lot.
Peterson reporting for Joy News.
Well, relatedly, the Electoral Commission of Ghana has officially suspended next month's voter registration exercise, citing concerns over the novel coronavirus pandemic, which is wreaking havoc across the globe. The April 18 exercise has proved quite controversial, with a number of opposition parties and civil society groups describing it as needless and costly. The decision to suspend the exercise was made after an inter-party advisory committee meeting on Wednesday. Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Srebwo Kweko, told JoyNews it is based on advice by health experts.
We had planned to do the registration on the 18th,
right?
But because of the pandemic, we can't do it on the 18th. So we are observing what is happening around Ghana and the global issue. We are with the Minister of Health and Ghana Health Services and other health experts. So they are also monitoring the situation and advising us. So when it gets to a time they think that the situation is fertile for us to go ahead with the registration, then they tell us, now you can do A, B, C. Then we implement them and go ahead and do it.
So for now, the 18th is on hold.
It's on hold. It's not, if it's on hold, means that...
Has it been suspended?
Suspended,
it's
exactly.
Suspended.
So it can be 18th, yes. So what we are telling them is that we are thinking of going towards ending of April or early May, but depending on what the health experts will advise. From all the discussions that we have had, we are saying that there's no way we can use the existing register. So we are moving forward with the new register, and that's what we are preparing to.
Joining me via phone for a conversation more on this is Madam Sylvia Ano. She's Principal PR of the Electoral Commission. Good morning to you, ma'am. Thank you for your time. So a day after the Inter-Party Advisory Committee's meeting, do we have a proposed new dates?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners and viewers as well. Yeah, let me say that I just want to correct an erroneous impression being created in the minds of many Ghanaians as I speak to you right now. There were reports to the extent that the exercise has been suspended. I'm referring to the upcoming voters registration exercise. Let me state here and now that the registration exercise will come on, but it will only come on after as soon as the COVID-19 pandemic is brought under control. The Electoral Commission issued a statement yesterday to the effect that the Commission has informed the political parties, there was an IPAC meeting yesterday, that the registration exercise scheduled for the 18th of April will not come on as scheduled or announced. Now, the fact is that all the preparations needed for the registration exercise are going on. Preparations are going on in terms of recruitment of staff who are going to man the equipment, who are going to register qualified persons, and so on and so forth. Apart from that, we are observing the rules as stipulated or as spelled out by the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service. So if you go to our SSS offices all over the country, you see these liquor packets. You know, we have soap, we have water, we have tissue, and we have sanitizers, making sure that we are adhere to the rules and regulations as spelled out. And then we are also observing social distancing, making sure that not more than 20 people gather, there's enough space, and so on and so forth. But the crux of the matter is that the registration will come on as stipulated.
Okay, so what's the registration exercise you say has not been suspended, but it has been postponed?
Precisely.
Okay. Except that we also know that the Electoral Commission is working within a certain calendar. You've got a schedule to everything that you're doing, timelines to the schedules. So what does this mean to your own calendar? How does it affect your own calendar, considering you and I don't know when we're going to get rid of this virus?
Let me say that the Commission is well aware of the time frame, the legal time frame within which we operate. Now, we're also monitoring the situation. And let me say that when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. There are legal implications. We just couldn't wait that this pandemic will pray and so that for the pandemic to be eradicated, entirely. And apart from that, we're just monitoring the situation. The Commission is collaborating, or is in collaboration with the Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Health for best practice to prevent the spread of the disease. We are making sure that we are doing all that we can do within our mandate for the registration to come up. All the same, we also are mindful of the fact that there's a pandemic, and we're waiting and praying that it is brought under control so we can proceed with our work.
Great. But how does it affect the Electoral Commission's calendar?
For now, we are safe. We are just praying that it goes, it vanishes, in the system. We're just praying, but going forward, if there are any developments, we'll let you know.
What's the worst case scenario for the Electoral Commission in terms of this registration exercise?
I don't want to preempt at this point in time because of the sensitivity of the elections, of the electoral issues in the country, particularly in an election year. Let's wait for, and we hope and pray that we don't get to the crisis situation. We just hope and pray that this issue of the pandemic will just vanish from the system.
Just finally, great. All right. Just finally, before you go, Mr. Kwaku, after the exercise yesterday, briefed the press, and he gave April ending, early May as a date, a temporary date. Is it something that the Electoral Commission is still holding on to?
In a statement, we stated that, he was just giving you various scenarios, but we have stated in the press release that a new date will be announced in due course as soon as the COVID-19 pandemic is brought under control. Meaning that by the end of April, if the situation hasn't been brought under control, the Commission cannot go on with the registration. But it is important to also note that we need to register, we need to replace the voters register so we can proceed with the election on 7th December.
Okay. So, all right. So I take it from all the communication that definitely the exercise is going to come off, except that because of the pandemic, we have to hold on a bit.
Exactly. Precisely.
We'll leave it here. Thank you very much for your time. That's Principal PRO of the Electoral Commission, Madam Sylvia Arnott there. Now, traders at the Nima market say they are aware of social distancing, but not really practicing it with varied reasons. Some say other traders picked their spot before they arrived at the market. Others also say they know they are immune and not likely to get infected. Some also say they use sanitizers. Hannah Dame has been observing this protocol by the World Health Organization and reports.
68 or call 0509-497. I'm going to practically show you what 6 feet is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is the standard social distancing that WHO wants you and I to practice. But as you can see here, that is not what is being practiced at the Nima market here in Accra. And when we put the question to the traders, this is what they had to tell us.
We know that we will not be infected with COVID-19. This is how we always sit here in the market. This is not the spot of my colleague selling by me. When I returned from hawking, she had taken my spot and I cannot sack her. The car behind me has prevented. Us from sitting apart. But even with that, we know we are safe against coronavirus.
We have been asked to protect ourselves. When I was coming, the social distance is to be 2 or 3 meters. But from the look of things, in the market, there is no anything like social distances. So what I was trying to say, if government can do something about it, like once or twice a week, we can be at the market to buy whatever we want, then the market shall be shut down to the next week. It will be far better than every day we going to the market. It's not helping us.
With all indication, we've been doing this to keep ourselves from all that we can keep ourselves healthy right from time before the virus came. So I think we're getting better with it. And there's no way we can distance from each other. Because when you try to do that, you realize you find problems with people. So all we need to do is that we'll be extra careful with all that we are told to do to avoid and abstain. We do it and be extra careful, like I said.
Here at the Nima market, on a market day, we have noticed that it is practically almost impossible for them to practice social distancing, as told us by the traders and the shoppers here. They are saying that it will eventually bring about some confusion should they ask some traders to go home and others come. This is the situation here at the Nima market. My name is Hannah Odame for JoyNews.
And clearly, it is impossible to social distance when it comes to butter and bread issues. Well, let's still stay with the market because market settings of the Upper East region risk being closed down if the leadership of the traders there do not ensure that safety measures are put in place to protect people against the deadly coronavirus. This is according to the Upper East Regional Minister, Tangoba Abayage. She was speaking after she presented some personal protection items to selected district and municipal chief executives for onward delivery to the markets in the region as part of measures being put in place by government to mitigate the spread of the virus.
The items presented to the markets include hand sanitizers, nose masks, Veronica buckets, tissues, liquid soaps, gloves, and dustbins. They are expected to be positioned at vantage points for use by traders and customers in markets across the Upper East region. Regional Minister Tangoba Abayage explains.
We are going to give all these items to the various markets. We have educated them. They are market queens and magaziers who have come. They are supposed to go back and ensure that these directives that we have given are followed. As market leaders, they are to ensure that these items that we are giving to the markets are used. The directive is that if any market should decide to flout, the caution is that if any market should decide to flout these directives of keeping the environment clean and disobey the rules of personal hygiene and sanitation, then the market risks to be closed down. It's for our own safety. And this caution came from the administrator for Common Fund, as coming from the president, that any market that refuses to obey the directives of keeping the market clean and safe for people to use, that market risks to be closed down. The assemblies are supposed to take charge of that. The various municipal and district assemblies are supposed to do that. We have had a lot of sensitization, we've had a lot of meetings, and they are aware. They are on the ground and working. They are, even the DCs themselves are going into the markets and doing the sensitization, as you are aware. So it is their duty to, one, have people who keep monitoring. Fortunately for us, we have market days. So on a market day, you ensure that your team is on the ground and monitoring and ensuring that these buckets and the sanitary bins and all that have been provided are being put to good use.
The market women were also taken through best hand washing practices using the items presented to them. Upper East Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Winfred Ofosu, admonished the market women to take the precautionary measures they were taught very seriously, as it was the best way to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Anyone who is coughing or sneezing should observe respiratory hygiene. Either cover your mouth and nose with a tissue, or you bend your elbow and do it there so that it's not released into the air. Because now some of the evidence has come out that if these droplets are released into the air, they can stay in the air as long as 8 hours. So you can imagine, so the person may even release them and go away, and if you come into that area, you could be infected. And on the surfaces, we need to be cleaning our surfaces with disinfectants.
Some of the market women spoke to JoyNews.
But if we are going back to the market, we just call all our market women and men and then train them the way we came here and they are just and those who are entering them inside the market, we just direct them to go and wash their hands before entering inside the market.
Albert Sorry, JoyNews, Bolgatanga.
You're watching News Desk. There's still a lot more to come. Stay with us.
Apologies. Welcome to business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Chinese manufacturers and workers are reportedly gearing up and going back to producing personal protective equipment to support the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. China appears to have successfully tamed the virus by placing firm restrictions on hundreds of millions of people within that country. Deputy Chief of Mission at the China Embassy in Ghana, Zun Xing, who spoke to Joy Business, revealed most manufacturers will be exporting products as China's economy returns to normal.
In most part of the country, apart from the Hubei province and the Wuhan city, they are all back to work. Most of the majority, maybe 90% already in manufacturing, already back to work. Right now, we are producing all these kind of, like masks, like sanitations, sanitizers, all sorts of things, and export everywhere.
Okay, and while we talk about how the Chinese economy has been hit, how long do you think it will take for you to recover? Because the latest figures you posted up on the state of the economy didn't look very good. How soon do you hope to recover out of this?
I think right now the most part, the majority of the Chinese, the whole country has already been, nearly every people got back to work, to the factories, to their import and export industries, to their so it seems everything seems back to normal. Even the so-called epicenter, right now they are going to lift their restrictions since I think the early April. So right now, actually, in the past few days, there's no domestic transmission case in China. Only some. And
that's very impressive.
Yeah, in the past 3 or 4 days, there's no domestic transmission case in China. Only a few imported from abroad cases because of international travel.
But China is not willing to shut its airports to international travels.
No.
Not now.
We got more restrictive quarantine measures, but we'll never shut down the international travel. Yeah.
Well, as China recovers, we are still looking for a cure. Manufacture of herbal food supplement, Koa FS, which is currently being considered for clinical trials to help fight the spread of coronavirus, says the samples of the supplement which have been given to Noguchi must be fast-tracked. According to Professor Duncan, he has spent some $20 million in developing the food supplement and needs some assistance from government to expand. Professor Duncan has been speaking with my colleague, Odilia Ntiamwa.
So the engagement with Noguchi was not only for coronavirus, but for other viruses that the world doesn't have cure now.
So now corona has just come to add on to the...
Onto the, yes. And what we have, the Koa FS itself has about 161 organic compounds. And out of the 161, about 4 of the active ingredients are very potent antiviral properties.
Okay.
And they can be found in all the 4 major antiretroviral drugs that have been registered by FDA in other countries. That has been accepted worldwide. Because it's
so where have you reached with Noguchi in terms of the clinicals? Are you going to do an observatory clinical, or you're doing the real science? Is it going to start with human beings? Exactly where are we?
That is where I wouldn't like to go into much, because we have given it to the scientists to do an independent work.
Okay.
So we are not going to tell them what they should do first or what they should not do. They are the experts. So they advise us what we should do, and we are giving them all the necessary documentations and the products and whatever to carry on with the work. Currently, we are doing we're developing protocols for the study.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this is the first time a plant extract or plant medicine has qualified for clinical trials in Ghana. Then should tell you how extensive research has been conducted on it. The first time in the history of Ghana that a plant medicine has qualified for clinical trials. So there's no protocol. We are the FDA to use it to do this. So we are putting together.
So what kind of protocols will the FDA be putting together?
Yeah, this is plant-based, right? So we cannot use orthodox protocol to try this one. So there's the need to develop a new adaptive protocol for this particular work.
Has it started?
Yes, I think we've started that.
So exactly what does it involve when it comes to the protocols for herbal clinical testing?
It involves a lot. And, you start a clinical trials from animal model, you go to human model, a small size.
And then you expand.
You expand and that sort of thing. And because we want it to be accepted globally, we have to satisfy the international standard protocol set by World Health Organization. Yeah, so this is why it has taken time to go through the
process. We don't have time. The numbers are rising. Shouldn't this be a national interest? Who has come to you apart from the FDA? Sorry, apart from Noguchi?
Noguchi has not even come to us. We went to Noguchi.
And that's your business update. Sports is up next.